Hi folks, I'm just bringing you an update on the Haix P9 Airpower desert boots, and then after I've given you a brief update on that, I'll talk about where I am today. So if you're interested in a little bit more information about where I am, then after I've reviewed the boots, carry on viewing. We'll cover this area and some of the interesting points about it. But first, if you've tuned in to have a review on the boots, these are a pair of boots that I first reviewed, I think, one of my really early videos, I think back in 2015, and because of the issues in the last couple of years with COVID, I've not been able to visit the Middle East until first time for 2 years was last November, and now I'm back here again. It's February 2022, so I thought I'd just bring you an update on these. These are by the German company Haix, and in fact these boots are, or were, and somebody can update this from Germany, the issue to the German Bundeswehr, the German army, and I think the pronunciation is Kampfstiefel, if that's correct, for combat boots, and I think they're still on issue to the German forces. So, just to briefly bring you an update on that, I've covered now over something like over 600 kilometers, but like I said, I haven't been using them for a couple of years or more because of COVID. So back out in the Middle East now, using them again. Today, being February, I've taken the boots off, and I'm standing here in, well, I'm sitting here at the moment, but I can stand in just my socks, and quite comfortable because of the temperatures. But if this was July or August, I wouldn't be able to stand here just in my socks. I'd be burning my feet. So one of the really important things on a desert boot is a good thick outsole, and these have that. They have a very, very good thick outsole, cushioned midsole that really does the job. As you can see, there's a mixture of suede and nylon, and you can see more on the construction, etc. I think on my previous review. They have Gore-Tex lining, which might be a bit surprising for a desert boot, and in fact the latest issue desert boots for the British Army don't have any Gore-Tex lining because they found that can create problems with almost like foot rot. So why would you have a Gore-Tex lining in a desert boot? Well, I think the original idea was that for troops in places like Afghanistan or Iraq, if they're walking down areas where they've got broken drains and effluent flowing down the streets, then the Gore-Tex would give them a level of protection against that, which I guess is true. But as I said, I think they've found since that that creates a problem in terms of overheating on the boot. Now, I only use these for maybe 2, 3, 4 hours at a time. I'm not specifically having any problem with that. As I say, now desert boots, they've cut that idea out really and gone back to just having them well ventilated, which these are as well. So they're a well ventilated boot, very strong. They're a very good high quality product by Haix again. It really makes high quality footwear for the military and other applications like the fire service, etc. So as I say, they've covered about 600 kilometers so far. Getting a bit dirty, but because I haven't cleaned them up. Still plenty of wear left in them, lots of wear left in them yet. So I'm not sure if they'll they'll do the same sort of mileage as the Desert Fox, the Mindel Desert Fox, which was over 3,000 kilometers, possibly. But they are another very tough pair of boots. So if you're looking for a good pair of desert boots, then these would do the job. Again, they're not, although now they got Gore-Tex lining, you could even use them, I guess, in Europe, certainly in the summer, to keep the rain out. Obviously they're designed for mainly with the colouring of the desert conditions. So yeah, good pair of boots. I like the lacing system, very quick, very easy to put on. They're quite heavy again for a desert boot, but I just view that as the quality of the construction, basically, which I think Haix boots are a very high quality product. I can't remember how much I paid for these. I have to look back on my original video, but I think it was sort of in the £60–70 range, I think. But they were brand new. I've been unissued when I picked them up. So that's a brief review update of the Haix Airpower desert boot. Probably not much more for me to say that I haven't said in the original video. So where are we today? Well, we're in Dubai, and this is the creek that goes out to, and we're looking towards the way to the sea there, which goes around the bend there, and it goes to the Arabian Gulf. That little boat is called an Arbra. It's a water taxi that will take people across, just literally across from one side of the creek to the other, or you can rent them to take you up and down the creek, particularly in the afternoons where it's probably a bit more quieter. Well, it used to be quieter, it's not anymore. Then you've got, this is obviously a dhow with tourists on, an Arab dhow, traditional wooden dhow. And if anybody watching remembers seeing Michael Palin's Around the World in 80 Days, I think it was 1988, he left on a dhow to go across to, I think it was India. So the dhows further along the creek, some of them are still there with the commercial goods on, taking out all sorts of goods to places like India, Iran, etc. Trade still goes on, traditional trade here in Dubai, and in the distance you can see the Arbras now going across from one side, which is called Bur Dubai, to the other side, which is called Dira. Now where behind me, as I swing round, all this area is the original area of Dubai. It's called Shindaga. And this is where the first buildings, the first development was. Close to the sea, because obviously pearl diving was the traditional industry for Dubai, right until probably the 1930s, where it was decimated, I think, by the Japanese cultural pearls. And they've renovated a lot of these buildings, as you can see. In fact, if you're looking at that, you can see what's called a wind tower. And the idea behind that is that it's an early form of air conditioning before electricity. The wind will blow through the top, be diverted down to the rooms below. Maybe you put some water in there as well to help with the cooling, and it acts as an early form of air conditioning. It's a reverse of a chimney, really. And they, I think they go back something like 3,000 years, or all over places like Iran originally, maybe in Egypt and the Gulf states. So that's called a wind tower. They have lots of little museums here you can go in. In fact, there's the old house of Sheikh Said Al Maktoum, who was the grandfather of the present ruler, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. And the original house is there, which I think he lived in from 1912 to 1958. Now, considering how Dubai has changed since 1958, and how it's changed since 1998, is incredible, really. we can see some more traffic. Obviously this is where you get the tourists walking around old Dubai. There's a few today, but not many, and the temperature is great. This time of year, it's late February 2022, so February, January, December are great times to come from a temperature point of view. You can wander around. Not a bad idea to have your water bottle with you. There's a couple of local ladies who probably work in the museums here. So yeah, that's a little bit about where I am, and if you've ever been to Dubai you'll recognise this, I'm sure, and if you haven't, this is, as I said, Dubai Creek. It goes out to the Arabian Gulf and goes around that and eventually stops inland. There's a number of bridges. They've now built a new bridge since I was there last, a couple of years ago, going over the creek. There used to be a tunnel called Chindaga Tunnel which went from this side to the other side. I think that's closed now, I'm not quite sure, I need to ask my family, but I think that's closed because I think they were developing leaks on that. It was from the 1970s, and they've now built a new bridge, and then there's a number of bridges over the creek further on. So this is the original part of Dubai. And if you ever come to Dubai and you stay in one of the magnificent hotels and you go to the shopping malls and you see all those sort of features in the beaches, don't ignore coming down and spending some time down here, having a wander around, just get a feel of the old Dubai. As I said, they've been renovated. How much they are original, it might be a little bit like the American tourists going to the Tower of London and saying to the Yeoman guard, the beefeater, is that the original axe that cut off the head of Anne Boleyn? To which he replied, yes sir, it's only had 2 new heads and 3 new handles. So how much these buildings are original and how much they've been renovated, but you still get the feel of what the buildings would have been like when you go in some of these areas. Police helicopter just going over. Another Arbor coming back up. Probably isn't now, but there used to be a guy years ago that used to row you across the creek there, and the shortest point he'd take you by rowboat. Now you've got the Arbors, but also you've now got Dubai Transport water taxis, which is a more of a little modern type vessel, and it will take you right around anyway, not just across, but you can go out on the sea to see the seafront, see Palm Island and Burj Khalifa and other landmarks as well. Okay, so that's it for now. That's it on the updates of the Haix P9 Airpower. If you're looking for a good boot, yeah, pick a pair of these up when you see them. Like the other Haix products, as I say, I would highly recommend them because I think they're all very high quality products. So there's one of the jets taking people home, perhaps. Looks like Emirates. So that's goodbye for me for now, and hope to bring you another review in the not distant future. Take care out there.